hi Rick, welcome. Now you know everybody who's here, and welcome.
All right.
Well, I should mention two things. There will be a video presentation that's available soon. Unknown when, but soon. And there'll be a PowerPoint presentation also. And our next meeting is October, I believe it's Thursday, October 17th, with Jeanette Owen from Regional Rails. And then we're looking at getting the rail guy from the Foothill Gold Line Authority coming, Rick Clark, his boss, and some other folks. So if anybody's got suggestions of anything, we'll work on it. So thank you very much, and without further ado.
So I've been in Metro for 6 years now, and it seems like yesterday. It goes pretty fast. The Metro, I was on the private side, spent some time, much of my career on the consulting side, and worked on the contracting side for a while. Built major infrastructure projects. As I said, was in Massachusetts, and I was the program manager for all of the engineering and construction for Massport, for Logan Airport, on the air side. And so that was on the public side, actually. I worked for the Port Authority. And then back here, spent some time in aviation and the aviation industry. Consulting side, so spent a lot of nights out on runways, grinding up runways and paving back. It was fun work, but it's airports. I don't know if you've been involved in airport work, but it's very prescriptive. I mean, you can't be anywhere on those runways without knowing exactly where you are and having permission from the FAA control tower being there. And we had some interesting occurrences. We had a guy, one of the labor foremen one time stopped an aircraft to let a scraper come across. So needless to say, that guy didn't last too long. So I guess that was my fault, right? You go through these major programs with everybody that's going to work on the runways and out on the taxiways to institutionalize everybody, right? You must do this. You go through all this, and then you got a guy out there stopping at 737 and saying, "Scraper coming through." So it wasn't funny at the time, but it was funny to look back on. So I did the Expo and the Foothill projects for Metro. Both projects very successful projects. Expo came in a couple months early and $200 million under budget. So that was, everybody on that project was a hero. And the ridership is up significantly on that project. It's like, they're at 2025, 2030 projections now. And the project's been open a couple of years now. So these projects they're getting great ridership, especially the rail projects, and we're encouraged by that. Something that we are worried about, concerned about, is the dollar value of the work that is in front of us is incredible, and so we're concerned about the resources. We've got all this work coming up. And we need you, the contracting, consulting, engineering community, to help us get this work done. So it's good to see contractors, consultants here to help support the work. We need you. The other thing that we're concerned about is we're seeing a trend in the projections for Measure M. The dollar projections for Measure M were escalated based on sort of standard escalation criteria, right? 3% a year, 4% a year, whatever that is. So, and this thing is calculated out to 2050. And right now, what we're seeing is the cause and effect of all of this work in the western United States is this driving the prices of the project up because the resources are thinning out, right? So it's a trend that we're watching pretty closely and we're concerned about it. So just a little bit of trivia there for how things seem to be going. I mean, it's going extremely well, right? We're all very busy, but there are some consequences to that that are sort of unexpected. So, kind of interesting. So what I do now is, for Metro, is I'm overseeing, from the program management side, all of the Measure M rail projects. And a couple of additional projects that aren't Measure M. So these are, Bart mentioned large and small projects. They're in my group. Small is a relative term, right? There's a lot of zeros tacked on the end of these jobs now. And I think the smallest project I have is like $600 million, which is, I mean, that's there's a lot of work you can do for that. Metro does have projects from 10,000 all the way up to, several billions. These projects are pretty massive, so they're going to keep us all busy for sure. So I'm going to go through the program that I have right now, and I did this about a year ago. So this is like an update for the projects a little under a year ago, and we've made a lot of progress. Many of the projects, the Measure M projects, are still sort of on the planning side. And what my team is doing is supporting. So the way it works is the planning folks take the lead for these large projects through the environmental process, and then when we get into the preliminary engineering and the engineering and the construction, then program management takes the lead in the project, and we take it on through completion. Okay, so this is the sort of the updated version of the projects that I am working on, and I based this schedule on the Metro Master Plan and what I know about how these projects are going. So we've got Airport Metro, and the color schemes are make it very easy to read, right? The red is engineering, the blue is construction, the green is environmental. So as you can see, we're getting into the construction piece on a couple of these projects, and we are getting into the engineering piece on a couple of the other projects that gets them, closer to the crisis management part, right? So environmental is green. Yeah. Am I not seeing my color blind here? I did not get the right color. So I know the red's right. Red's engineering. There's a dark blue, which is design bid build, and there's a light blue, which is design build, and there's another color for P3 that I didn't put up here. I'll talk to you about it. I'll just tell you about it. So that's the schedule that we're looking at right now. So I'll just right now we're working on Airport Metro Connector down through West Santa Ana branch. We're looking at that as a P3, public-private partnership. And there's a whole team of people working on how we're going to walk that out to the contracting community. So I'll talk about that a little bit. And Sepulveda Pass as well, looking at a P3 for that one, large project. And one of the methods that we're thinking about is what we call a PDA, which is a project development agreement, which gets the developer on board even earlier than the RP. piece of the project. So I'll talk about that a little bit too. So looking at the individual projects, just kind of going down the list. These are the latest and greatest from the Airport Metro Connector. So you've probably all seen, these have been out in the public for a while, these drawings. But something that's different about this one, this is updated. You'll notice that the platform is a single platform. Before we had 3 platforms and rail, the Crenshaw and Green Lines coming in and 3 separate platforms there. Now we've developed it as one platform, which makes it much more efficient, easier on the escalators and elevators, and so the design is better for operations as well. We're thinking about, okay, how are we going to build this project? We've got the Crenshaw line open, and we've got a station to build around an operating railroad. So we're thinking about doing a shoe fly around and tying in on both sides, and trying to figure out how to manage that in relation to opening the Crenshaw line. So you'll hear more about that. That's seems like a good idea, and we're working through some of the conceptual design pieces, how we're going to tie it in. So we may be doing something like that. And what else about this project? We've been working on the architecture. This is an iconic station that is a statement for LA, right? And so our board of directors and the mayor's office have been very interested in how this is perceived by LA, by the city of LA. So that's what it looks like. That's the kind of the latest rendering of what it looks like from an aerial perspective. This is a bus terminal. 8 p.m. automated people movers here, and then this is our station. Crenshaw line here. North is to the right. That's inside the station. That is, there's 3 levels to this. There's a ground level where the rail is. There's a mezzanine level, which is an interface between the metro and the air side. You can see the people mover up in the background there. So this is looking south up to the people mover. It's the mezzanine level, and then the rail is going to be over to the right. That is from the Metro Rail platform, single platform, looking up back into the facility.
Is the rental car facility next to that or a ways?
That's a good question. So the rental car facility, the airport terminal is at the top of the screen. The rental car facility is going to be here. This is Aviation Boulevard is right there. That's Arbor Vitae. So the rental car facility is right here. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It really is. Spectacular. We are very happy with the architect we hired to do that project. We went out and found a world-renowned architect, Crew and Grimshaw. We're very happy with the work that they're doing for us on this project.
What's the timetable for that?
Opens 2023. And it opens simultaneously with the airport, the automated vehicle mover. So a lot of coordination work with LAWA and their team. They've got their developer on board right now. Very complex project. It's another $6 billion project that yeah, that's my kid. He's studying mechanical engineering at Cal Poly. Anyway, so the considerable amount of coordination work with LAWA and the airport folks right now on that project. So next project is Goal Line Foothill. I can't tell you anything about that project right now because it's in a blackout period. The RFP submittals have come in, and they are they're under evaluation right now. So you'll know soon enough. Those guys, that construction authority that's doing that project, those guys are efficient. They do not mess around. They stay on time, and they stay on schedule, and they stay on budget. So when they tell you that they're gonna advise you as to what's going on, they're gonna advise you to what's going on. So they're good. What's that?
Oh, the San Diego station there.
Yes, that's correct.
Is there any transfer to Metro,
Metrolink?
Yeah.
The transfer to Metrolink is that starts in Pomona. The two lines come together in Pomona, and at the Pomona station, and then Claremont station has a pretty good transfer point as well. The interesting thing about this project is it goes to Montclair, which is in San Bernardino County. And so Metro, the LA County can only fund what's within LA County, and the funds for San Bernardino County are separate, and it's all being worked out in a separate way. So those RFPs are being evaluated right now. Great line, great project, $1.4 billion.
Is that the Pomona North Station on the San Bernardino line, the Metrolink? Or downtown Pomona on the Riverside line?
I would have to check. I would have to check that.
It looks like it's the North Station on the San Bernardino line.
Yeah. Next project is Division 20. This is one of my smaller projects. And as you can see, it is a massive project that renovates the red purple line yard in a way that allows us to get turned back capacity, get our headways down to 4-minute headways on the purple line, and actually creates 2-minute headways in the trunk where the red and purple line come together. So it's a pretty significant upgrade, if you will. We can't get that kind of capacity out of Union Station. So what we had to do was, Union Station, the trains come out of Union Station and go underneath the freeway and come and portal up over in the red line yard. So that's purple line and red line. So the Union Station is off the screen to the right. The portal is right where where you see the lines start there, and then we're building this turnback facility in blue that allows capacity for trains to come in, sit in different sort of herringbone configurations in this blue portion, good amount of capacity, and then a light back out at 2-minute headways back into the tunnel and back through Union Station. So it creates a lot of capacity. In addition to that, you see in green, Metro, we purchased some property in that area, and the purple line is going to create a lot more train vehicles. We had to have some place to put them. So we're building this storage capacity here, and the First Street Bridge is there. We're going to have to move around some columns on the First Street Bridge. Interesting thing is, when you start working on bridges like that, they don't let you screw around with just 2 columns. They're like, no, this bridge goes all the way across the LA River. We want upgrades across the whole river. So we're having to do seismic upgrades for the First Street Bridge, which ultimately it benefits the public, right? It benefits the capacity of traffic. So it's all good. It's all good in the end. But for us, we're looking like this at the project. Oh my God, we gotta do the whole bridge. But ultimately, it's a good thing that we're upgrading. So this is a Division 20 project. It's $600 million. I'm hoping that number stays pretty much where it is. These are the components of the project. There's three contracts. There's a demolition contract, a power contract, and then there's a portal widening and track work. We're going to put this out as a RFQ and then an RFP. It's a design bid build, and I think I have another slide on this, yeah. So the demolition contract's advertising next month in October, and then the power contract in November. We're going to put out an RFQ in November for this project, and we are, and then the main line in January. So this is going to go to construction pretty quick, this project. Great project. That's the yard in the photograph there that this all comes out into, right next to BNSF. Very complex, orchestrated with operations. It's going to be a project that the Red Line Yard has to stay in operations the entire project. So it's going to be very, very complex. Running all that power through the yard, demolishing some of the buildings, and then all the track work. You see all this track work in here where the lines come together, and then you've got the main line coming out of the portal. Those contractors that do that work are going to have to know what they're doing. They're definitely going to have to be capable contractors. So that's one of the reasons we're doing an RFQ process, because we want to make sure that we're getting competent contractors that are doing this work. This is East San Fernando Valley Transit Corridor. So this is going into PE soon. So preliminary engineering. It's ending the environmental phase right now. We're going to put out a preliminary engineering contract. It's going to come over to program management. Probably next month or November, depending on my lightning speed procurement department. We're really working those guys to get them to get the projects out. They're very, very busy. I'm saying that in jest. They probably wouldn't be very happy with me saying something like that. But, they're very, very busy. But we're working hard to get this PE contract out in October. Could be November. And then the design build contract, we're looking to get that out 2021. It's a 9-mile light rail project. It goes up right up the middle of Van Nuys Boulevard, all street running. It is going to be complicated by the traffic. There's many, many crossings there, so the traffic signal system is going to have to be integrated. All that grade. $1.3 billion project. We would love to do some of this as a tunnel, some of it elevated, but we don't have the money. So we're looking at this as an at-grade project. There'll be a maintenance facility. And then up in the northern part of it, there's a connection to the Metrolink system. So we've got some complexities there too. Same thing that's going on out at Foothill right now on the 2B project. So that synergy, if you will, with SCRA and the Metrolink folks. West Santa Ana branch. West Santa Ana branch is a P3. We're going to advertise this as a P3. All indications are that we're doing that. I have teams of people working on the business case for this. We're doing market analysis. We're doing a value for money analysis. We're looking at a performance spec. We're looking at the operations piece. So P3 takes a project, not just the capital side of it, which is the design build or the build side of it, but it takes it all the way through operations and maintenance as well. So then you have labor that you have to integrate into the way that you're going to formulate this project. The way that we're thinking about doing this, and this is not decided completely yet, but we could either go with a PE or a preliminary engineering. Well, let me back up a little bit. So the schedule on this project is so intense that we're doing the planning and the environmental work at the same time as we're doing the engineering work. So they're overlapped. And so we're working with our planning colleagues to identify the alignments. We start out like 9 alignments. And it's a board process to get through what alignments we're looking at. So we're down to 2 alignments now, and it went from a $3.7 billion project to a $5.8 billion project based on the alignments that we're looking at. So right now we're at $5.8 billion, and we're looking to narrow that down and develop a project description that's even more detailed than that. And we're going to go back to the board, and planning is going to go back to the board in November to get more clarity on the project description, the cost, and the alignments that we're working on. The alignments, particularly in the northern section by Union, that gets folks from the Artesia area up to downtown. So we're looking at 2 different basic alignments, one going to Union Station or the other one going to the 7th Metro area. Yes, sir.
I got an initial estimate, which is 3.4, 3.8, let's say. Is the firm that initially bid it as a P3 still considered going after with that price tag?
There's no firms that have bid that yet. We haven't gone out in the street with it yet.
Oh, but that was part of the.
There was a. I think what you're thinking about is the unsolicited proposals.
That's correct. That's correct.
There were 2 unsolicited proposals. We looked at those. We decided to take it out to a more public bid. So we're working on the documentation for that now. Now, along with the planning process, we have to do an engineering contract. And so we're thinking about there's 2 ways we could do it. One way is that Metro can go out with a separate contract for PE and have the consulting side do the PE. The other way is we can develop the RFQ for the project, shortlist the developer, and have them do the PE. So that way developers are doing their own PE, and when we go out with the RFQ, we've got shortlisted firms. We're evaluating the RFP based on their own designs, which is starting to seem like a good way to do it to us. Rather than do our own PE, take it out to P3 developers and then have them either accept it or toss it. So there's some pluses and minuses about when we're thinking about that. Can we get the project description to a succinct enough description to take it out to the private side? Do we have costs that are going to be detailed enough for us to take it out to the private side? And to work with our own board to advise them, okay, this is how much the project is going to cost, etc. So there's some things that we're working through. We haven't made the decision yet, but I would say we're leaning towards taking it up to about a 15% design and then letting it out to the private side.
How does it end up?
Are there any capacity constraint issues sharing track with Blue Line?
Yeah, this will be a completely independent.
Oh, it won't share track.
It will not share track. Completely independent system. go, yes, sir.
Where are you in the, I mean, or you have a consultant doing that right now, or?
Yeah, our environmental consultant is doing conceptual design right now. So we're taking a look at bringing that up a little bit and then putting it out.
So do you have some further alternatives already, or?
We're working on two alternatives right now.
And so, but the price is based on the lowest or the highest?
The price is based on, well, they're both 5.8. They're both 5.8.
Rick, you mentioned, so with the developer option, so you say 15%, does it mean that at that time when you advertise it, you will have the approved environmental document before you go to the developer?
No.
And you think that there are developers that are interested to participate without having an approved environmental document?
We're going to probably do like an outreach to get some ideas back from the private side to see if that makes sense. It won't be, the environmental document won't be complete certified, but it'll be very close. So we'll have enough information to be able to put a reasonable RFQ out.
On a project like this, the impacts on the street traffic and that coordination between the light rail and the other lights
Yes.
is where that's the give and take, where the environmental could be a bummer, I would think.
Yeah, the environmental looks very carefully at the interaction of the traffic, the traffic volumes, the crossings, whether they're at grade or whether they're elevated. In one of the options, there's some tunneling that, takes into consideration the traffic. But, all those decisions are made based on traffic counts and going out into the actual environment and understanding what's there.
So there's some kind of performance spec that's already part of a larger planning document. You've got to move a lot of people, and you've got performance that you have to meet, I assume.
Yes, part of a P3 delivery is that we develop a spec that says, okay, we want the line to be able to move 75,000 people from South County to downtown LA. We want them to do it on a 6-minute headway. We want the vehicles to be consistently operable, those kinds of things. That's a performance spec that we're talking about. So, and again, we haven't really made that decision yet if we're gonna actually put this out at, let's say, a 10 or 15% design. We're thinking about it. This project is, it's got a ways to go, but we're putting a lot of effort and resources into the right way to do this. We wanna make sure that we get it right. Yes.
The plan to keep it private after construction is for the long term, or at some point bring it back to being public?
35 years. That would be in the scenario where we do a design, build, finance, operate, maintain. So there would be an operation and maintenance portion of this. Great project, yes.
There's a lot of great connectivity along the way offered by this rail line. One of the opportunities is not shown on the map, but is the Green Line extension to the Norwalk Santa Fe Springs Station. Are there any plans to expedite the timeline for that, given the West Santa Ana branch connection and the future connection to high-speed rail?
I'm not aware of any Norwalk, east of let's say the 405. I am aware of Green Line extension that's going to South Bay, and that one is on the 28 plan, and so that one I've actually got on this. This is one of my projects as well on the program management side. It is still in planning, but I'm not aware of any. I'm not working on anything going east. Did I miss anything? Let's see, 5.8, environmental aid 2020. This is on a very expedited schedule, this project.
When's the RFQ being noticed?
The RFQ, we're looking about a year out, a year from now, approximately.
But, is that the RFQ if you decide to do PE?
Same.
Or is it the same, whether it's 15% for the?
And then there'll be quite a bit of time between the RFQ and the RFP as well, so there'll be enough time to do some design work there. And let's see, the way that we're thinking about this now is Metro is gonna take the utilities and the geotechnical and advance those quite a bit, because it's something that the agency can probably be more effective at doing than a developer would do it, just in dealing with all of the different community agencies, the local agencies, et cetera, and the utilities. Okay, next project's public pass. I don't really have a lot of information on this project. Right now we're in a feasibility study for this project, and that's going to be 2019, sometime next year that'll be complete. We'll have a lot more information by the time we get that project up and running. The master plan right now is showing us environmental up to the 2024 timeframe, and then you know we're pursuing, as I mentioned, the PDA, project development agreement, which is a hybrid of the P3 development. So instead of actually going out and hiring a developer to develop the project, we hire a developer to work with us to do the environmental design, the conceptual design piece of it. And then at some point down towards the end of that process, we decide with our developer, are we going to keep this developer on to do the rest of the project, or are we going to let it out to
Construction. You may not have a construction arm on that guy. You may have to go out to bid.
Well, the way that we're looking at it is we would have a concessionaire that's got the capability for the capacity for finance, for construction, for design, all the way through, for operations, all the way through. So the PDA developer would be a complete team that could take it all the way through. And it's possible that you could have more than one PDA consultant working on, or contractor working on it. We could have a PDA that's working on, say, a monorail, and another PDA contractor that's working on a light rail. So we've got two of these PDA concessionaires going at the same time, and they're competing for the project, but they're also advising us through the environmental process and working through some of the environmental issues that we need to work through and to get to the construction phase.
Since this project, the scope of it doesn't extend all the way south to the airport, how far south does it go?
Airport. Yes.
Given the potential ridership of that project, I'm just wondering why is it seems like it's a less urgent project than a lot of the other ones. It seems like it has the highest potential for.
In a sense, it's a very urgent project because there's a need for that capacity from the valley over to the west side. There truly is, but it is also extremely expensive project, and it is extremely from a technical standpoint, it's a project that has a lot of needs. So there's a lot of study that needs to go into it, and resources and costs that need to go into it. So it's going to take us some time to get there. But yeah, there's definitely a sense of urgency.
Yeah. Does it tie into the Van Nuys project directly?
Yes.
Or?
Yeah. So if I go back to, oops. Getting ahead of myself here. Two more right there, right? So it ties in here. This is East San Fernando, ties in here or here, and then it'll go south through the, either through the mountains or it'll come up through the Sepulveda Pass. We'll tie into this, and we're looking at how to tie it in. So we were building this project not to preclude some form of tie-in. And then we've got the orange line. We've got the orange line here that also ties into this project.
One more question. The Ananias corridor, you mentioned something about, I know at one time there were going to be a couple of tunnels through there. What are the funding constraints on the Ananias project that precludes any?
The long-range transportation plan gave us $1.3 billion to do that project. The at-grade project is 1.3. That's it. That's all we. People think that Metro has all of these. You know, we've got $120 billion in funds, so we're flush and we can go out and build anything we want. Not the case. That money is spent. That money is spent on these projects that we're doing. So if we increase the amount of dollars for one project, then we have to wrestle that money away from another project, and that ain't an easy thing to do. Let me tell you. There's a lot of powerful people that have their eyes on these projects. Okay.
When would you expect the PDA to come out?
6 months. Towards March, April timeframe.
And the PDA, they'll be working on that, how will they work with the environmental?
Yes.
They'll work with the environmental.
Yeah. They'll coordinate. So this is where we are right now in the Sepulveda Pass project. Big yellow arrow. So in the evaluation this timeline gets you out through future environmental analysis, and we've got it right now scheduled for up to 2024. Could be expedited. We can find the funds. This is a green line extension to Torrance. This is a project that's on everybody's mind. It came up at the board meeting today. Mayor Garcetti brought it up as a project that he's got his eyes on. And so this is a project that likely will be expedited. The board approved today the analysis of very specific alignments that they're gonna take on through the environmental process. So this project is moving forward. Yes.
Did they decide if the Crenshaw line is going to split or go, or there'll be some trains that go to Torrance and some that'll go to Norwalk? Was that decided yet?
As I understand it, well, the line will split in that it will go up to the airport connector and then come back down. But I think what you're asking is every train going to go all the way down to Torrance?
Right,
and all the way
if you're
back?
coming from Crenshaw.
Yeah, I think the way, and don't hold me to this, but some of the visuals that I've seen, models that I've seen, is some trains go up to Norwalk, up to the airport connector, and then back out to Norwalk, and then some trains come down to Torrance. So it's split, if you will. But I would say
because there was some debate, because if you're coming from the Expo line, will all the trains go to one place, or you'll have to switch?
definitely operational considerations there, and they've done a lot of modeling, and I don't have any expertise on that one. And then finally, did I give you enough on this one? Environmental piece, the PE 2021 to 2022, and then we're going to looking at construction 2023 to 2028. This is on the 28 by 28 plan as well. So this project is going to be done by 2028. It will be done. And it's only $891 million.
Chump change.
Small project.
It's chump change for you.
Okay, so, East Side Extension Phase 2. So this is an interesting project. This is another one this one is not on the 28 by 28 plan, that I'm aware of. I don't think it is anyway. The idea for this project is there's two alignments that we're looking at. One goes out Highway 60, which is in blue, and the other one splits and goes down Washington Street, past the outlets down in that area. And that one's a little bit more challenging because it's more populated in terms of residences and businesses through that area. But it makes a lot of sense in terms of what it can do for the ridership and the movement of people to business centers and so forth. So there's some debate over that. We're going through, and these are the kinds of things that the environmental process evaluates and reaches out to the communities. They spend a lot of time in the communities to understand what the communities want and need, and then make a decision, take it to the board based on that. So they need to get through that process. So the ACE is Advanced Conceptual Engineering. That's going to be going on through 2022, and then some engineering work that actually gets into some of the details, and construction on one alignment, not both alignments, on one alignment that the board chooses, 2028. And I put this in potential acceleration because there's a lot of ambitious elected officials that could influence how this project, whether this project is accelerated or not. And I'm happy to give it a shot. Happy to give it a shot. That's it. So large projects, an ambitious program, very ambitious program. I love it. I just love it. We've got people that are just burning and churning every day on these projects, and you guys, this is gonna be our bread and butter, all of us. And from the ridership, to the contracting world, to the consulting world, we need you, and you can see the volume here, and that's just us. You got LAWA. $4 or $5 billion in work. You've got Seattle, you got Hawaii, you've got work in east of us. So there's this big sucking noise. That's the resources that everybody's going to need to do all this work. And so bring your young folks up, bring them in, get them up to speed, because we're all going to be busy for the next 15 or 20 years. So that's all I had. So question is just in the back.
Maybe I'm getting a little greedy, but what about the purple line to Crenshaw and also something along the Lincoln Corridor? Is that anywhere in the talks, 2040 maybe or something like that?
Yeah, those projects are on the long-range transportation plan, and I deal with rail transit, so I am knowledgeable about these projects and the rail transit. I wouldn't be, I can't talk to you, I just don't have the expertise on some of the other projects. Purple Line is under construction now, so those are different, that's a different team within Metro, so apologies, but I can't answer very well.
I was gonna ask about the coordination between, let's say, with Metrolink from Orange County. Sometimes I think there may be room to improve the pass-through or the bandwidth or whatever you call the movement between systems. I said just same as San Diego, when you hit Coaster or Sprinter, or things are. So I'm just curious if there's an equivalent project maybe going to happen, and who's deciding where the rail stops might be, and will there be parking and development in the areas where the stations?
So the going back, so you got the environmental process that looks at those kinds of things. We do have a regional rail group within Metro that looks at, that's doing a couple of studies right now that look at the system-wide interface between the Metro system and the Metrolink system. Metrolink and Metro are two different agencies. And, you know, one's a heavy rail commuter agency, and the other's a light rail and a bus system and BRT. So there is a need to feed the commuter rail into the Metro light rail system. And we're doing some studies on how to do that. And we're also looking at, our planning departments look at countywide, where are the centers that need to bring people from one place from point A to point B. So the planning folks in our world are looking at those things. I build them. I get the plans, and they say, okay, go build this. And I'm like, okay, let's go.
Well, there is, you know, Cal Poly Pomona, Mount Stack, Citrus, there's quite a few colleges, and we do have, that one project has the rail, the extension of the
Gold line.
Gold line out
The
there.
foothill extension.
So I'm assuming there'll then be some buses or somehow
Yeah,
people get to where.
There will be a connection between Metrolink and the light rail line area. I had another gentleman that wanted to ask a question.
Talking about money, okay?
Money?
Money. The project budget in general was estimated through the planning process. And their number is based on statistics, which is a past number. And the past few years probably not much inflation. So two questions. One, if you can share, what's the current hike of the price versus the 3% or 4% built in your formula? And two, what is the conceptual mechanism just to deal with suddenly some huge hike, which now we see resources high and a water labor shortage, which is known, and also some trade issues, materials costs.
I don't know if I can answer those questions very well. You know, with regard to what this cap is, we don't know yet. We've got a couple projects out right now that are going out to bid, and we're curious as to how those are going to come back. You know, what we're seeing is a trend for projects to be more expensive. And I can't put a dollar value on that right now. It could be as much as 10% more, 30% more. You know, with the environment right now, where there's all this work and the resources are not enough, we don't know how contractors are going to react. We're concerned about it. With regard to your second question, what do we do? Let's say it comes in 30% higher on a project like $5.8 billion. You know, you're talking another $2 billion. And so for us to deal with, we would be scrambling to deal with something like that. One way would be to segment the project, to shorten, you know, the project, and develop an operating system that that makes sense, but is not the whole 20 miles. That would be one way to do it. The other way, you know, you could look for other sources of funds. Federal government, state government, you know. So there's not a lot of options. There's not a lot of options. You can, if it's a smaller amount, if it's like 5% or 2%, then you can look at making the project more efficient. Right, you can look at increasing the number of vehicles and the number of people you're moving, so you're running trains less frequently. That kind of a efficiency. But yeah, we'd be scrambling. We just need to understand. I think over the next few months we're going to be able to get a better handle on exactly what that dollar amount is. Yes.
So I like the 20 by 28, or excuse me, 28 by 28 initiative that's created a lot of political will.
Yeah,
to
sure
push
has.
projects forward.
That's great.
However, seems like those projects are being funded by measures R and M, right?
Yes.
So the voters supported those for themselves, not for the Olympics, right?
Right.
So are those at odds with one another, or are they essentially synergistic?
I don't think they are. I think they for another project to expedite it. And the answer is no, they're not doing that. They will not do that.
Okay, that would be
They will
disloyal
not,
to the
they will
voters,
not
right?
allow that to happen.
So, good.
Yes.
So, currently in the rail operations, we have a heavy rail fleet, which runs on the purple line and red line, we have a light rail fleet.
Correct.
A friend of this organization called Dyson has been for years sending me dual mode cars, fleet. Has Metro looked into that at all, and doing like something that runs on third rail and catenary, as you know, that way you can have it switch from, for example, the purple line right away,
Yeah.
and become like the flyover for this forward pass thing, or connect to the Valley Rapid Transit corridor, so you also do the overhead and having multiple systems in place.
So far, no. We're not looking at that. But it is something that we are aware of. And the rail that is designed in the future may go to something like that if it makes sense to do it from a cost perspective and a logistics perspective. And as you said, you know, there's some opportunities out there to do something like that. West Santa Ana branch may be one, where you're coming from South Bay on a catenary system, and you run, you know, into the red and purple line on a heavy rail system. So yeah, right now we're not looking at it, but there are some opportunities to do that. We're aware of that. So I see everybody's starting to take off, and I want to keep you here. You know, I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to answer questions, and be happy to answer more questions if you want to stay, but you're welcome to go too.
What about that video?